случай случай.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. Today's video I'm going to be going through all of the stuff that's happening around Ukraine and also be taking you through some of the news articles over the last few days. So let's start with this one. American fighters have been taken as prisoner of war in Ukraine, first time since conflict began in March. So two fighters, they used to be serving in the US Army in Iraq, and former Marine who's been in active combat as well. And this is what they said. We were out on a mission and the whole thing went absolutely crazy with bad intel. We were told the town was clear when it turned out the Russians were already assaulting it. They came down the road with two T-72 tanks and multiple armoured fighting vehicles with 100 infantry. The only thing there was a 10-man squad, said the comrades. So obviously things didn't go too well for them. So let's have a look at them, shall we? So you got this guy, looks a bit like David Letterman. Those of you who don't know who David Letterman is, there he is. Looks like his son, to be honest. And then you got this guy, thinks he's doing a selfie on Instagram. Look at that pout. 5 out of 10 for the pout. Well done, mate, well done. So you could see these are the first time American soldiers have been caught. Like I said before in many videos, this isn't Call of Duty. And a lot of them thought they were going to Iraq, take pot shots at Iraqis in Afghanistan, where they basically control the air. They can pretty much do whatever they want over there without being shot in return or without being fired back. So they probably thought it was going to be the same old thing. Surprise, surprise, Russia is not playing in Call of Duty, and Russia is not Iraq or Afghanistan. So I saw this article as well. 3,000 British volunteers fighting in Ukrainian side against Russia. 3,000? That's crazy. I mean, that's a big number. I mean, 3,000 soldiers. That's as big as the British Army, to be honest. British Army doesn't even have that many soldiers. Absolutely ridiculous. I really don't know what the hell these guys are thinking going over there. Obviously, you've seen Liz Truss's interview saying, "Oh, she's not gonna stop all of these British people fighting in Ukraine, you know, and she's gonna wish them well." And a lot of them are now coming back in body bags and coming back injured, coming back with PTSD, or not even coming back at all. You know, don't forget a lot of soldiers could have died in Ukraine, and maybe they haven't found the body yet, or they couldn't identify the body. Because imagine a bomb missile hitting your head. You know, good luck finding out who you are, or finding out, you know, who the dead body belongs to. You know, I just don't understand what possesses them to go all the way there. Seriously. I mean, yeah, if you die in these conflicts is one thing, but if you come back injured, who the hell's going to look after you? The NHS? The British Army's not going to look after you because you got injured out of your own will. You know, you didn't fight for your country. You're going there to fight for Ukraine. You're fighting for a fake president, Zelensky, who wears high heels and who's an actor. If you really want to know who Zelensky is, I suggest you watch Iron Man 3. That is an exact image of what Zelensky is. Basically, in Iron Man 3, you got the Mandarin who they hired as an actor to pretend that he's the leader of a terrorist group, and they pay him money, they pay him in drugs, and they must have watched Iron Man 3 before deciding they're gonna hire this Zelensky guy as the leader. Seriously, it's the uncanny similarities. It really is uncanny. Anyway, let's move on. The Telegraph is now starting to basically report Ukrainian losses. They didn't do that before. None of the British papers were reporting anything like this before. So you see in Telegraph, Ukrainian war latest, Russia shoots down MiG and hits weapon depot in cruise missile attack. So you see the kind of stuff that they are reporting now. None of this was coming out last few months. Last few months, apparently, it was all about Ukrainian winning. Russia was losing. So they would never ever report any Ukrainian casualties. So things are, changing very, very fast. However, according to Russian MOD figures, they have shot down over 200 Ukrainian warships, planes, and there's probably around 20 or 30 left. To be honest, there really isn't much left. There's a lot of drones flying around as well, but they are being taken out as well. Last night, MOD figures showed that 300 Ukrainian soldiers had also died as well. They are throwing missiles in around Severodonetsk. They have cut out Severodonetsk as well, so nobody can escape and nobody can supply the troops who are in Severodonetsk. So they have completely been cut out. They're going to use the same cauldron type of strategy they used on Mariupol, and they're going to basically smoke them out, as they say. So I want to talk a bit about Britain. So Britain's deciding to tear up the Northern Ireland Protocol. So those of you who don't know what the Northern Ireland Protocol is, during Brexit they made an agreement, Britain and EU. Basically, you got Ireland, Republic of Ireland, which is still European, and then you got Northern Ireland, which is part of UK. Because they did not want borders between Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland, they decided to have this Northern Ireland Protocol, which means there's no borders between Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland. And Britain signed to this, everyone agreed. And now Britain doesn't like it. Britain's like, oh no, we actually weren't thinking straight, and we don't want to do this. We want to go back on our word. And now Britain is looking to cancel that agreement. Everything that they agreed during Brexit, they said, no, we don't agree with it now. We want to cancel it. And the EU are obviously not very happy, and the EU wants to place sanctions on UK, and they also want to take legal action against UK as well if they pull out. The problem is obviously the stuff that's happening around Ukraine, so they don't want to be doing sanctions war between themselves while Russia and Ukraine are fighting in the special military operation. So I don't think they're going to go along the sanction route. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that's happening behind the scenes. Britain will get some sort of sanctions, I believe, or some sort of tariff war with the EU, and maybe they might even get a legal action as well. So things are not looking good for UK, because you're fighting against a much bigger fish when it comes to EU, because you got all of these countries versus one, which is UK. And even the US has said that they're not going to be backing UK if they pull out this treaty. Even Biden said, if you pull out this treaty, you're not getting a trade deal with us. So Britain is on its own. They've been left out in the cold. I just don't understand why they have to do this, or why did they agree to this in the first place. It's almost like these clowns go into the Brexit meeting and just tick all the boxes. I mean, you would expect Boris to do something like that. He doesn't do any of his homework. He goes into these meetings drunk or high, and he agrees to everything, and he comes out, and then he gets a couple of people advising him, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. So Brexit, when he agreed to Brexit, he obviously signed all the paperwork and stuff. Basically Boris gave everything away to the EU, agreed to every single thing. Anyone can do that. His previous Prime Minister, Theresa May, at least she stood up to all of these EU demands. She said, no, we can't do this. And eventually she had to quit because people were giving her a lot of pressure to give in to EU demands, and she didn't. And she didn't agree with Brexit agreement, and so she quit. But then Boris comes along and he agrees to everything. It's like, yeah, because all he wants in his record is that he wants to be the Prime Minister who agreed Brexit. And that's all he wanted in his record. He doesn't care how he did it or what impact it's going to cause UK. So it's pretty much went in, signed the paperwork, and walked out without looking at, the small print or anything like that. It's absolutely ridiculous how Boris works, and this guy is a complete moron, sorry to say. So there's more problems in UK at the moment. There's a 3-day rail strike, which is going to cause 6 days of disruption. Network Rail has warned, and it's going to cause a lot of economic issues as well. They're saying it's going to cost maybe 500 million, could be more. There's also talk about having 4-day weeks in UK as well. This is not just in UK, but they're talking about it in the EU. They're also talking about it in America as well. And the reason for this is because of inflation. You've seen the cost of living going up and up. The problem is, people's wages are not going up. And because people's wages are not going up, they think, how can we make these guys happy? So let's kind of reduce the work hours to 4-day weeks. So that, there's a few advantages for this. First of all, the workers do less hours for the same money, which means they don't have to think about increasing their wages and increasing inflation and things like that. And the second thing this means is if you have 4-day weeks, you'll see a lot of factories running for 4 days, which means the carbon footprint goes down. So you don't have factories opening for 5 days, so your carbon footprint will go down. You'll need less power to these factories, to these businesses, like electricity, gas and things like that. So you won't need as much power. So that's the thinking behind it, because obviously they're coming up to winter and they're going to need a lot of gas, a lot of oil coming up to winter, the whole of Europe and America and even Britain as well. So they're looking at moving everything to 4-day weeks to kind of alleviate that. The problem is the economy is not going to be doing very well. They are already in recession. Britain has released figures for last month. Their GDP has gone down. So Britain is definitely heading towards recession by the summer. So things are not looking good, and having a 4-day week is going to bring down the economy even more. So even though they can save on power, they can save on increasing people's wages, they will lose on the economy very much so. When you're competing against countries like China, who are literally working 6-7 days a week, who are the factory of the world, Britain and Europe and America is just going to go further behind countries like China and even India as well. So the pound is doing very badly, as you can see, and a lot of UK people are noticing when they're going on holiday that they're not getting much money for their pound, and already British people are complaining. British people are already complaining for a number of reasons. There's a lot of flights being cancelled in UK, and there's huge amounts of queues in UK as well. There's huge amounts of problems in airports. EasyJet is cancelling flights last minute, as well as other budget airlines, because they are saying that they don't have enough staff. But that's not the problem. I think the problem is because too many people are booking cheap flights and they just can't afford it because of the high gas costs and high petrol costs and the high diesel costs. Right now the diesel prices have gone through the roof and petrol prices have gone through the roof. So if all of these people have been booking airline flights for £1.99, £2.99, 6 months ago, a year ago, so by the time the flight comes, EasyJet has realized, we have all of these people booking cheap flights, but our petrol can't cover the cost. It's just not worth it in a business sense. So they're having to cancel a lot of flights. A lot of the flights have to go through Russia as well, which they have to divert. So the airline business is not doing very well, and it could be going down, especially after coming out of coronavirus, where a lot of the flights were grounded. So I was going to show you something called Google Trends. And Google Trends is basically shows you what people are searching for on the internet. And a couple of months ago, Ukraine was at the top. Number one thing that most people were searching for was Ukraine, Russia, things like that. But if you look at Google Trends now, it's completely gone. People are searching for other things. People are looking at other things. You can see even Ezra Miller, who's even there. You got football. You got Julius Francis. You got some sort of S&P stuff. You got BTS, which is a Korean pop group. Bitcoin crashing, Rwanda, train strikes. You know, basically, there's no Ukraine in there in the top 10, top 20. People are not interested anymore. People just don't care. It's completely gone off the radar. It just shows just how much people don't give a crap about Ukraine anymore. And you go through Instagram and you go through social media, and a lot of people used to have Ukrainian flags in their bios and, you know, stand with Ukraine, and there used to be all of these charities. I don't see it anymore. No more. It's all gone. It's all gone. I feel sorry for this ridiculous production group that Zelensky is running. You know, support for him is running out, and I bet he must be really, really worried right now. So the war in Ukraine has gone so bad that even my missus is asking me, what the hell is going on with Ukraine? What's the latest? Tell me, what's the latest? What's happening? And sometimes I think that it's really, really good that your missus supports your views and agrees with your views most of the time. And I remember during the Iraq war, and my girlfriend at the time, she supported the war with Iraq. And here I was going to these protests and stuff like that. I was part of the protest in London where there was millions of people protesting, and she was at home basically cheering on the Americans to go in and kill Saddam. And so I asked her, why are you supporting the war for? And she was like, oh, Saddam's got weapons of mass destruction, he's a tyrant, kills his own people. I go, oh my god. I was like, you know what, just get out. I can't stand you anymore. Can't stand this. So I told her to get out, and that's the last I saw of her. Good riddance. But yeah, I think it's really important for your partner to kind of support your views, especially when it comes to politics. I mean, they're not going to agree with you with everything, but at least with majority of the stuff, I think is quite important. So the other problem with UK, you can see is, there's a Scottish independence referendum. They're going to set it for next October, and you know, basically, this is like the first step towards independence. Obviously, the British government is going to fight it completely. They're not going to allow Britain to be separated. But you know, Nicola Sturgeon has said in her own words, "We want the quicker we get out of this mess, the better." Because that's what she says. England is a big mess, and I agree with her. It's a complete mess, and you know, I can't blame her for, you know, leaving Britain. And don't forget, all of these northern oil fields, you know, it all belongs to Scotland. All of these gas fields and oil fields they have in the north, all of that will belong to Scotland if there's independence. So England won't be able to provide for itself. It won't have any gas, you won't have any oil, you know, all of that they have to buy from Scotland. And you can see Scotland using that to becoming one of the richest countries in the world. And I'm gonna show off an idiot of the day story earlier today. So the idiot of the day goes to Britain, and this is because UK said they could leave all of these human rights courts. So this is because they are trying to send lots of refugees to Rwanda, and people are saying this is against human rights, and you have all of these human rights groups basically stopping this from happening. And Britain said they could leave this human rights court. And I just gotta say, what a bunch of hypocrites Britain is. What a bunch of hypocrites. One minute they say they stand for human rights and all of that, but it's all a charade, it's all fake. I mean, look what they're doing to Julian Assange. That is not human rights. Look what they're doing, publicly supporting Israel. That's not human rights. They publicly support Saudi Arabia. That's not human rights. And when he sues them, they pretend that they care about Chinese Muslims, the Uyghur Muslims, and when he suits them. And it's absolutely hypocritical the way Britain is acting. Now they're saying, oh no, we're going to leave the human rights court. And the only other country that has left the human rights court is Russia. So Britain wants to follow the same steps as Russia. Seriously, I've never seen anything more ridiculous in my whole life. Absolutely ridiculous. So Biden is going to meet the Saudi prince, and I'm going to make another funny video about this. Those of you who haven't seen my parody videos, I do them now and then. So I'm going to do another parody video of Biden and him meeting bin Salman. So have a look out for that. I'll come out in the next few days. Make sure you see it. Make sure you like it. But Biden is being really, really desperate going to see MBS. I mean, first of all, he's not answering Biden's calls, completely ignoring Biden. But even when Biden goes to meet him, he's going to give him a completely cold shoulder. When Lavrov went to Saudi Arabia, they rolled out the red carpet for Lavrov, Saudi Arabia did, and they gave him such an amazing treatment. I doubt if Biden will get the same treatment. In fact, I think that MBS will give him the cold shoulder throughout the meeting, and Biden won't be able to get anything out of MBS, anything. You know, when first Biden came to power, he immediately started saying all of these things against MBS and saying he's a pariah, he's a killer, which is right. But this is diplomacy, and this is, you got to be diplomatic with other world leaders. Otherwise, this is what happens. Other world leaders refuse to work with you, refuse to have any business with you. And so Biden was avoiding talking to MBS directly, and they were talking straight directly to his father. That's not happening anymore now. So they're forced to kind of talk with MBS now. So Biden is going to go all the way there. He's probably going to get the cold shoulder. He's not going to come back with any agreements in place. He wants Saudi to produce more oil. Why would Saudi cut his own throat for Biden? Makes no sense. Makes no sense, right? Saudi is making a lot of money from oil prices right now, so it doesn't make any sense why they would dilute the market by producing more oil. Because if there's more oil in the market, then the price goes down. So why would Saudi want the price to go down? They want the price to be up where they can make the most profit. So it makes no sense why they would do this favor for Biden, and for what? After everything Biden did for Saudi Arabia, he pulled out Patriot missiles from Saudi Arabia, so the Houthis were attacking Saudi oil installations. He took out Houthis off the terrorist list, and there's many things that he's done which has upset the Saudis, and I just don't think he's going to get anything from this meeting at all. In fact, he'll probably get a cold shoulder completely. So the EU is facing another Russian gas supply cut. Gazprom has cut gas supplies going in through Nord Stream 1 by 60%. This is because they said that they are waiting for parts from Siemens. Siemens was supposed to give them some parts to repair these gas pipes, and Siemens have not been able to give these parts, and they are blaming the sanctions, and that's the reasons why they could not give Russia these parts. And for that reason, Russia said they're going to cut the gas supply by 60% and do their own repairs. So this is a major blow for Germany, because Germany wanted to save as much gas as they can before winter comes, and 60% cut in Nord Stream 1 will mean that Germany will not be able to save as much as they think they will save before winter. So that plan is going to pretty much go out the window. So I bet the Germans are really panicking right now. So Ukraine is offering a solution to European gas crisis. It's not going to work, guys. It's not going to work. they said they are ready to pump more Russian gas via key transit point. You know, Ukraine's not going to even survive over the next few weeks, let alone control what Russian gas goes through Ukraine. I mean, I can see Russia, once this special military operation is over, they will cut all gas supply lines going through Ukraine. They will only create these gas lines going through occupied Ukraine, the parts that Russia has occupied or parts that Russia has taken off Ukraine. So they will probably direct a lot of the pipes going through those areas, and they will go directly to Hungary or via other countries. They're not going to go through Ukraine, because why would Russia help out Ukraine after everything that Ukraine has done to them? And Ukraine will just siphon off the gas like they've done all of these other years. And this was the reason why Russia created Nord Stream 2, because Ukraine was siphoning off a lot of the gas that was going through Ukraine. So Russia is not going to allow that. They'd rather cut the gas off than let Ukraine dictate terms. So I'm going to talk a bit about China now. There's an article I saw today saying China is gearing up for Putin-style special operation. So I believe China is looking at the way Russia is doing. They are looking at the special military operation that Russia is doing in Ukraine, and I believe China will probably do something very similar. They will not want to destroy Taiwan. They will not want to destroy the infrastructure. They will not want to destroy the civilians or kill the people, even destroy the army. You know, you got to understand, Taiwan is full of Chinese. You know, it's one country, it's one China principle. So they have no plans to destroy other Chinese people. They have no plans to destroy the infrastructure. They have no plans to destroy Taiwan. So they want to do a special military operation and get rid of these puppets in power, the DPP power. So this special military operation will basically involve special military operations going into Taiwan and taking out these puppets and also their followers as well. So you'll have a lot of people in the army who are following the DPP party, and they will probably put up a fight. So I just want to say, one of the biggest own goals that the West had done was basically not turning up for the Beijing Olympics. All the Western countries stupidly decided to boycott the Winter Olympics in China, and that allowed China to realize who their friends are from foe. And people who were friends with China all came down. They had a big banquet. Putin came in. He had a chat with President Xi. He told him about the plans about Ukraine, and President Xi gave him his full support. So the Chinese are very, very loyal. You know, if you're nice to them, they're going to be doubly nice back to you. And that's how it works with Chinese people. And I've been to China. If you do one thing nice for the Chinese or Chinese person, they will make sure they are doubly nice back to you. So they will basically be just as nice to you and do something more in return. And that's how the Chinese work. And if you're going to threaten them and start, you know, basically boycotting the Winter Olympics, the Chinese are not going to forget that. Trust me, this is like the biggest insult you could have given to the Chinese. And what's worse, once Russia went in to Ukraine and started doing its special military operations, the West started saying to China to boycott Russia. I mean, can you believe the arrogance? The arrogance of the West. First they boycott China in the Winter Olympics, then they ask for favors, saying, "Oh, can you boycott Russia? Can you sanction Russia? Can you stop buying oil and gas from Russia?" I mean, can you believe the hypocrisy and the balls of the West to basically ask for demands from China even after they boycotted China's biggest Winter Olympic Games? And It's beggars belief. It's beggars belief. I mean, Winter Olympic Games was one of the biggest tournaments for China. They had a lot of pride hosting that Winter Olympic Games, and it's basically came as a slap to the face when the West said we're going to boycott you. First, Biden said he's going to boycott it. Then that puppet Boris started saying he's going to do it. Then a few others started doing it. And it's just become ridiculous. And not one Western leader went to went to China to watch the games. And I just think it's really a massive on goal, a massive. You shot yourself in the foot. Because imagine if one Western leader actually bothered to turn up to China. Can you imagine the red carpet that Western leader would have got, the respect that they would have got? China would have bent over backwards to make that Western leader as happy and as welcomed as possible. They would have done so much favors. They would have done so much trade deals. When Putin went to China during the Olympics, he discussed the war, but he also came out with loads of trade deals. New pipelines, new agricultural deals, new oil deals, new gas deals. Everybody that went to China during the Olympic Games came back with a host of goodies, and it was a massive on goal for the West. Massive on goal. I want to show you this particular paper. So one of the major assets that Taiwan has is a company called TSMC, and TSMC makes all of the high-end semiconductors for the world, for Apple, for all of the major phone companies, and for the military as well, for the US military, I mean. So they do chips which are around 5 nanometers, and they're also now very close to releasing 3 nanometers and working on 2 nanometers and 1 nanometers and things. So they're very advanced. So I saw this article, and this article says that destroy TSMC if China invades to make sure Taiwan is unwantable, says US military paper. So I believe if China does go into Taiwan, one of the first things China will want to do is secure these factories, TSMC factories, and make sure these don't get vandalized or destroyed. Because apparently in the US military paper says as soon as China comes in, these factories are going to be the first ones to be destroyed. So to make sure China doesn't get its hands on advanced semiconductor technology. So I'm a bit worried about this. I don't think Taiwan should do it because it's not in their interests, and it's not in China's interest, and it's not in the world's interest as well. Because if this is destroyed, imagine the semiconductor supply chain problems that will happen around the world. Even the last few years, we have a huge chip shortage problem. So imagine if TSMC, if all of the factories and all of these equipment is destroyed. Imagine the chip shortage problems the world's going to have for years and years and years. So this is a really bad idea if it happens. But I think if China does do this special military operation, TSMC will be one of the first things that they have to secure, make sure they don't get destroyed or burnt or blown up. But yeah, so that is one of the things China will have to do. I have made a separate video about China doing this special military operation in Taiwan. I'll put a link to it so you can have a look what would happen if there is a war in the Taiwanese Strait. So have a look. If you've got any questions, let me know. So I wanted to also talk about this. India faces fury over officials' Islamophobic remarks on Prophet Muhammad. So I touched on it briefly on my last video. I didn't really discuss what actually caused this issue, and I didn't really discuss the facts of the matter. So the facts of the matter is 2 Indian BJP officials. So this is the official Indian BJP party, the party under Modi. 2 officials had said that the Prophet Muhammad basically was PEDO because he married a 6-year-old or something like that back then. So they they obviously called him a PEDO. So obviously the Muslim world got absolutely insulted. And there's protests all over the world. So there was protests happening in Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India did nothing. There was protests happening all over India, and India did nothing. And only time Indians started taking action was when the Gulf states started protesting. So you had Qatar protesting, and Qatar, sent some really, really serious notes on Twitter saying this is unreasonable. You guys need to take action, or we will boycott you. Some serious words, and even the Gulf states like Iran and UAE, Saudi Arabia, people there started protesting, and they want to boycott all Indian goods and stuff. So 10 days later, India basically not sacked, but stopped them from being spokesman of the BJP. So they're not being sacked. They've basically stopped them being members of the BJP, basically. And people are asking, the people in the Muslim world are asking, why did it take you 10 days to finally take some action? Why didn't you take action straight away? You knew this was wrong, and why didn't you take action? Why did you have to wait 10 days for you to do it? And the only time you decided, when the Gulf states started to basically complain, that's the only time you decided to take action, 10 days later. When Bangladesh, when Pakistan, when Indian protests were going on, India did nothing. So this is why Muslims around the world are very, very angry with India at the moment, and they are looking at boycotting India. So people might say they can't really boycott India because they need India. But India also needs the Gulf states as well. They buy oil, they buy energy, they buy gas from the Gulf states. And people are saying, they buy wheat and stuff from India. Well, if you remember, India has stopped supplying wheat and stopped supplying a lot of the food grain to the rest of the world because there's a huge food shortage going on. So they're not supplying any of that to Qatar. So I think there's a lot of businesses that make a lot of money in the Gulf state, Indian businesses, and there's also many Indians working in these Gulf states as well. They're talking about 37 billion that comes back to India because workers in India work in the Gulf states and send the money back to India. So it's a lot of money they make from the Gulf states, and also there's also a strategic interest as well. They are building a separate BRI with the Gulf states and with Israel as well, which means they will take good ships from India through the Gulf Straits using train, and it will go through to Israel, and from there it will go straight to Europe by ship or by rail as well. So they are thinking of doing something like that. So there are huge strategic interests. There's huge money. There's gas and oil. And India did nothing until these Gulf states started complaining. And I had to also look at an Indian news channel called WION. And WION started saying, why do all of these Gulf states suddenly have a voice? Why didn't they have a voice when all of these Uyghur stuff was going on in China? Why didn't they say anything then? Well, first of all of this Uyghur stuff is made up. It's not really true. If you do your own research, you will realize all of this stuff is made up by the USA, the NED, all of that to smear China. And secondly, you should understand that this is what the US does to put these countries down. And this is what the US is doing to India. You guys need to wake up. As soon as America doesn't like you, as soon as the world doesn't like you, and everyone knows India's buying a lot of Russian oil, and the West is not liking it. So any bad news that's happening, the West will make sure it gets plastered in every single front page, plastered all over the world. It's front page news in all of the major news articles all over the world. The US, the British, they'll make sure that happens. And this is what that's what they call taste of your own medicine. You know, China has been having it for years. Russia is getting it right now. And now India is getting it because they are basically supporting Russia. They are buying Russian oil. So a few months ago, if India basically said they're going to boycott Russia, they're not going to buy any Russian oil, you're not going to see any articles like this in the West. None at all. The West will be patting India at the back saying, well done, good boy, well done, good boy. And you're not going to see any articles like that. The reason India is standing up for itself, and that's when you're going to see all of these articles. So you guys need to wake up. You have to understand how the West works. And this is what you get, you know. And you guys have been pushing this false China narrative as well, going along with the West all of these years. And now you see what's happening when it comes back to you. So anyway, I'm going to come to the second idiot of the day today. Biden is giving 1 billion more to weapons in Ukraine. So the 40 billion has pretty much run out. They also gave another 15 billion as well of arms and support. A lot of money is coming through crowdfunding. The EU has basically sent them about 20 billion. There's also a lot of crowdfunding and charities and, you know, people raising money through Instagram, social media. So altogether 100 to 150 billion has gone to Ukraine. So the reason this is important, Biden to give 1 billion more weapons to Ukraine, and the reason I put this as idiot of the day is for this particular reason. So you've seen how a major problem of homelessness is in USA. You have homeless basically all over the streets in all of the major cities, and it's a huge problem. So according to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it would cost 20 billion to end homelessness in the United States. 20 billion to end homelessness in the United States. And what does the United States do? It sends 40 billion to Ukraine. Can you see how idiotic and how stupendous that sounds? You know, half of that money could have got rid of, you know, homelessness in the USA, and you send 40 billion to the Ukrainians. Seriously, that's enough ridiculousness, stupidness that could tear anyone's hair out. And when I look at this, I'm just thinking, I'm just slapping my fists on my head. I'm thinking, how stupid are, you know, the Biden regime here? How stupid are they? You know, putting that money to good use, getting rid of homelessness would have done so much more for the Americans, people, American lives. Would have got rid of a lot of problems, poverty, crime, drugs. But no, they had to send 40 billion to Ukraine. And not only that, now they're starting to send 1 more billion to weapons. And 40 billion was added last month, and now they're giving 1 more billion, and they're going to keep giving money. It's not going to end. They're going to keep giving money to a black hole in Ukraine, while the American people are suffering. Absolutely ridiculous. So NATO also is giving more heavy weapons to Ukraine. The funny thing is, this guy Stoltenberg, normally he walks around with a suit and tie. He looks very clean and fresh. And recently, if you look at him, he's really unshaven. He looks really stressed out. His clothes have got a lot of creases. His tie is not even straight. So this guy looks like a mess. He looks like a homeless guy himself. And I just think the stress is getting to him at the moment. And obviously a few months ago he was like, yeah, Russia's gonna lose, Ukraine's gonna win, and he was all, you know, talking from the top of his lungs how NATO's great, all the people are coming together. Now, you know, it's a joke. NATO is a joke. You know, Finland and Sweden can't even join because of Turkey. And he said a few months ago, NATO is united and united more than ever. Is that really what you call united when 2 members can't even join NATO and because of Turkey? And he said a few days ago that he didn't even know Turkey is going to stop Finland and Sweden from joining. He had no idea. I mean, seriously, no idea. All you had to do was talk to the Turkish, and they would have told you straight to your face. This guy's got no clue. He's just a puppet on a string, and the US is basically telling him what to do. He doesn't do any work. He's basically a face, and the NATO is the United States, basically. The United States control NATO. This guy doesn't do anything except showing off his face. And even now, he can't even show off his face properly anymore. Now look at him. He's unshaven. He looks like a mess. Pretty much needs to get sacked, this guy. So the second idiot of the day is Biden could lift tariffs on China as he searches for solution to rising costs. So you know what this means, right? This means that America has lost the trade war. So the trade war that Trump started way back, about 3-4 years ago, he said that trade wars were easy to win. On his bio, on his Twitter, he was like really bragging about it. He's like, oh, trade wars are so easy to win. We're going to win. And now, for Biden to release these tariffs that were put on China as part of the trade war means they failed. They failed the trade war. They lost. Biden just can't do anything right, according to the Americans now. He's losing everything. Everything he touches. He's like the Midas touch. Everything he touches dies or gets destroyed or turns to dust. Seriously, this guy. So, finally, the last idiot of the day. House Republicans slam woke Pentagon spending. So you have all of these Pentagon military who are spending on woke stuff. And you can see this guy with his pride flag at the background, and he's being really woke, and his guy even looks gay. And they're really pushing for the woke agenda in the US military. And imagine having all of these woke activists in the US military. One missile comes near them. You can imagine them screaming from the top of their lungs, going, help me, save me, oh my God, a bomb. How can you have these woke merchants in your military, running and screaming like headless chickens in the middle of a war? I mean, that's what's going to happen. And then they're going to ask for bombs to be painted in rainbow colors, and they're going to ask for teddy bears to be sent to the enemy rather than missiles. They're going to ask for pom-poms, to fight with pom-poms instead of guns. They're going to be really, really woke and, really like they think they're in some sort of drag show. Absolutely ridiculous. And this is how the US military is heading towards. There's too many woke merchants in the US military. You have the king of the woke merchants, Millie. Millie sounds like a girl's name. Millie sounds like that girl from Stranger Things. Basically this guy is such a woke merchant. All of these woke stuff that he's doing to the military, he's just destroying the US military. And this is why I think the US military is a paper tiger. If he ever ends up fighting China or even Russia, the US military will have a heavy, heavy defeat. And they know that. They know that their military is full of these woke people, full of these activists. Any war, any dead bodies, you have dead bodies coming back. People are going to protest all over America and saying, no, bring our soldiers home, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be another Vietnam all over again. America cannot fight a long war, and you've seen what they've done with Vietnam. You've seen what they've done with Afghanistan. And when the tough gets going, they come back. They dump everything and come back. They don't really care about the people of Afghanistan. They don't care about freedom or democracy or changing the country for the better. They don't care about that. All they care about is their own lives and their own people and their own interests. So enough for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want to join my Patreon, it'd be amazing, or you can buy me a coffee instead. Thanks for that, and I'll see you in the next video.